Hello everyone, I am Dr. Rudy Lalan and we started learning about dental casting alloys. So as we have already learned about direct filling gold, it will be very convenient and easy for you to understand gold alloys now. So consider this as a revision class. We'll discuss about some factors more that can be helpful. But what I want you to understand is that gold, irrespective of whether it's being used in the restoration or if it's being used for your casting of the crown, is going to be the same. The only difference is going to be, rather than using the moderate and the low ones, we'll be using type 4. So you remember ADA specifications that we talked about? Yes, that's all that's going to be differing. So let's just quickly start learning about gold alloys. As we all know, gold alloy is the most malleable and most ductile alloy. So what I want you to keep in mind is that we are not going to use pure gold. By pure, what I mean is 24 karat gold in making a crown or making a framework. Why so? Yes, because it's extremely soft. Although purity is 100%, but I cannot afford to have something that bends upon subjecting to masticatory forces. At the same time, it has a very good thermal expansion, something that's actually similar to that of the tooth structure. Now, when you understand that it's going to be similar, I know that coefficient of thermal expansion, if at all there's a mismatch, the contraction happens at different time, creating internal stress, and there are probability that both of them being dissimilar in nature might undergo contraction expansion at a different pace, and that can lead to secondary problems. But being similar to tooth means that it's going to function similarly and not have any scope of any secondary complications. Mechanically, the strength is moderate to high. I know I'm not going to use 24 karat gold. I want you to understand that what I'm going to talk about is alloy. Alloy here means that I'll be using gold plus different metals, n number of metals, indium, palladium, platinum, copper, silver, everything. What I want you to understand here is what we learned in the last thing, which is the difference between high noble and noble. So when I say high noble, it's more than or equal to 60%. When I say noble, is more than or equal to 25. And here what I mean is percentage of gold. So depending on how much percentage of gold is present, more the amount of gold, lesser would be the strength, because gold is soft. So let's say more the amount of gold, lesser is going to be the strength. And this will imply that I would be adding materials that will impart strength. It has amazing ductility, so finishing and burnishing is going to be really good. Recall how we were actually inserting it into the cavity, how we talked about foils that were amazing, so thin that they would just act like a veneer and enhance the finishing properties. Chemically, it's noble, so highest corrosion resistance, and it's going to perform wonderfully. It's going to be very stable in oral fluid and the best biocompatibility. So these were like the basic properties of gold. Next, we move on to the advantages. Now I know that it does not tarnish, neither does it undergo corrosion. Hence, it's going to be very stable in the saliva or oral fluid. The biocompatibility is excellent. And it also does not undergo fracture readily. It has amazing longevity, and when I talk about durability, it's going to be very durable. You remember we talked about carat? 24 parts means 100% purity. Now, apart from that, there is something also known as fineness. So fineness is nothing but part per 1000. So if I say 1000 by 1000, it means it's 24 karat gold. So I just want you to imagine and evaluate them accordingly. Moving on to disadvantages. Gold rates. Can you even compete with that now? No, I would just want something that looks like gold but not exactly gold. So it's obviously because of the expensiveness of it. Aesthetics are not that great because it has a very peculiar yellow color to it. Hence, the interior will not look that wonderful. At the same time, it's really technique sensitive because you have to be very precise over how you do the casting procedure, even in malleting. So, when you have to do cavity filling, even then it's technique sensitive because you need to mallet exactly at 45 degree to the wall, compact exactly at 90. If that was difficult, imagine how difficult it would be to cast a gold alloy. And there is a chance that it's going to conduct very well. So the thermal conductivity is high. Hence, what's going to happen? Sensitivity is going to increase. We already know the EDA classification. I'm just going to quickly go through and not go much in detail because I expect that you would have learned it by now. Class 1 means low stress bearing, which will be minimal preparation in your inlays, onlays and alloy. But when you have to use it for your crowns and bridges, you will have to go for hard or extra hard. So when I talk about hard and extra hard, it actually means that it has strengthened functional zone. And what is the functional zone here? Nothing but my occlusal surface. And type 4, which is purely extra hard, wherein the noble metal content is very less. It's morely your base metal alloys that top can be used for your framework. And that's because it's going to be extremely rigid and durable. Not because it has gold, but it has something called as copper that imparts strength to it. So now let's just quickly look at the notes. I talk about type 4. So what is going to be included in my type 4? So I know that I want to use gold because it has excellent biocompatibility, it's resistant to oral fluid, has amazing corrosion and tarnish resistance. It's really malleable, but it's very high in cost and aesthetically it's poor. So then I go and use copper. It's going to harden the alloy. It's going to reduce the fusion temperature. So what's going to happen? Because it's going to reduce the fusion temperature, the alloy is going to be formed faster. Then I have silver. Silver, as I know, will increase the strength. Copper will impart red color. Silver is whitish in color. So it's going to balance it by adding the whitish tone and will also reduce the cost. But silver also has become expensive now. So what you need to understand is we need to shift to other materials. Platinum has one point of raising the fusion temperature or the melting temperature. So now we want something that will balance copper and platinum. And what is it going to do? It's going to increase your elastic modulus, increase your modulus of elasticity, and also impart the tarnish resistance. So now if I cannot use gold, I'll use something that's comparatively cheaper but at the same time gives better properties. Palladium is just like platinum but again cheaper than platinum. So what is it going to do? Increase the hardness, give proper tarnish and corrosion resistance, and will absorb hydrogen gas. And what will happen? This will eliminate the voids and hence make it more denser and avoid any porosity. Zinc, on other hand, is scavenger for oxygen. So it's going to take up the oxygen layer and then will just protect all the other metals from oxidizing. They will make sure that the metals stay in their form and not react with oxygen. Indium, on other hand, is a deoxidizer. It can replace zinc because zinc has one disadvantage. That's your delayed expansion, wherein it starts reacting with your hydrogen That can be avoided if you increase the quantity of indium. Nickel is amazing when we talk about hardness and strength. But again, nickel sensitivity and allergy is one of the very commonest cause of reactive reactions that might happen. So you cannot have nickel in your oral cavity if it leads to any allergic reaction. Talking about iridium and ruthenium, now these will act like grain refiners. What are they going to do? They will just produce a very fine casting, and they are just going to improve the strength and ductility. So these are not your major components. They will be added in tracing. So these are just called as your trace elements. So you can use this mnemonic, that's a Casper zinc. This is just going to help you remember copper, silver, structural refiners. So these are nothing but your trace materials. Platinum, palladium, nickel, I have called it as R because it's going to be more hardness, and zinc, which will be zinc and iridium, who are going to act like scavengers. So I hope this was easier for you to understand why I want to include this apart from my gold alloy, just to reduce the cost, but to maintain the same corrosion resistance that I have, but also impart strength. I am taking best of all. Wherever I know, okay, it's going to cause delayed reaction, I put in another material like indium. So this is where exactly this will play a role. So let's just quickly solve the MCQ here. Which element is primarily responsible for hardness of alloy? I just told you. Let me give you one more hint. It gives reddish hue. Yes, it's nothing but your copper. The primary function is to give more hardness, but the disadvantage is that it gives reddish tone. So we came up with something called as silver that would maintain the thing. Now platinum on the other hand is going to provide corrosion resistance to me and not increase the hardness. That's solely, even if it's imparting slight amount of hardness, it cannot top the hardness that's provided by copper. So if you have, two options that are closely related, try to always gauge them. What's the primary function? Platinum might increase slight amount of hardness, but basically it's there for corrosion resistance. But copper is solely present for for your increasing of hardness. Let's just quickly look at the flashcard. What is type 1 gold? Type 1 means which acts as low stress bearing area. Preferably it's utterly soft, thus only used in inlays or class 5 restoration, not majorly coming in the load or stress bearing area. If at all the inlay is really big, then you move on to type 2 and not restrict yourself to type 1. So the selection of material should always be based on your clinical orientation. So now what you see, gold alloy quick neat summary is something that has been curated in one page notes format wherein you can quickly revise everything for your NEET. And if you are also somebody who actually wants to appear for NEET and you want to start your preparation, don't forget to check out every feature that we have on our app. We have mind maps followed by notes and various MCQs and flashcards that will make you NEET ready. And apart from that, you can enroll yourself into the NEET classes, and I'll make sure that I prepare you the best to attempt dental material and prosthodontics in your exam. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll quickly see you in the next video.